Hello, everyone. Today is January 4, 2023. Happy New Year to everyone. This is the SIG Lifecycle Cluster API Office Hour. Just a quick reminder about how this meeting works. So this meeting works according to the CNCF Code of Conduct, so be kind with each other. We have a meeting agenda document, which I'm already sharing. For having edit access to this document, you need to subscribe to the SIG Cluster Lifecycle meeting mailing list. I've shared the link to the document in the chat. If you have any topics, please feel free to go down in the agenda, add the topic to the agenda, and also kindly add your name to the list of people attending, so we can keep track of people interested in the project. So let's get this started. And as usually at the beginning of the meeting, we give some time for new attendee to introduce themselves. So I shut down for a second. And please use the raise hand feature if you want to speak and introduce yourself. Okay, it seems that...
Hello. Am I audible?
Hello.
Yeah. So hi everyone. I'm Laksh and I'm a computer science undergraduate student. I'm learning Kubernetes these days and I came across Cluster API. So yeah, I'll be here, see how what the project is all about. So yeah, that is it.
Happy to have you here. We recently had a lot of graduates look at the Cluster API, and someone made also a thesis on it. So happy to see people in the university take a look at the project. It's really interesting.
Happy to be here.
Is there someone else? Okay, great. Before moving on, as Cecile was writing, if anyone is interested in hosting the one of these meetings, feel free to speak up at the beginning or reach out. It is always nice to have new folks speaking for the hosting the meeting. And yeah, there is also another interesting question. Should we create a new doc for notes on 2000? Yes, I will take care after the meeting. Good point.
One comment about that. That's okay. I think it would be good if it's possible to keep this document the same and use it for 23 and move the other stuff into another document so that we don't have to change the links in like 2 or 3 places across Kubernetes.
Yeah, this we learned the hard way last year, and this is what we are going to do. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the reminder. Okay, moving on. Open proposal readout. If I remember well, we don't have open proposal at the moment. And so we can move to the next topic in agenda, which are discussion topics. And the first one is on Mike.
Yeah, so we had a community member, and I'm blanking on the name at the moment, who posted a proposal to the cluster autoscaler in a way that we can add labels and taints for the scale up operations when scaling from 0. Now I'll give a little background here, and I want to say first, thank you to Cameron for making this PR. I don't know if Cameron's at the meeting today, but this is kind of an awesome drive-by and great to see. But when scaling from 0, and we talked about this in the past, you know, the cluster autoscaler needs to understand kind of the shape of the machines that it's creating. And it needs to understand this so that it can properly schedule or predict where pods will be scheduled, so it knows which nodes to create when scaling up. What we've implemented for Cluster API so far is the ability to kind of expose the size of the machines that will be created in a scale from 0 scenario. But what we didn't do was expose a way to share what labels and taints will be present on the nodes that are created. And the cluster autoscaler uses this, because it looks at pending pods and it tries to match those pending pods to nodes that it could create to fit them. And so knowing what labels and taints are on the nodes is useful, because some pods, they have label selectors or they have taint tolerations. So we had not come up with a good way to do this. And although there's some really good work going on around syncing labels from machines to nodes, Cameron proposed a way to add a few more annotations to the scalable resource, which would be like the machine deployment or the machine set. And then through those annotations, a user would be able to add the labels and the taints that they expect nodes created by that machine deployment will have. I thought this was a really novel solution. I'm surprised we didn't think about it before, but it would solve one of the problems we're having, and it fits in well with the work that we've already done. So that's kind of my bias here, but I wanted to bring this to the community because it does, touch a component that we all use, and I wanted to see if anybody else had thoughts or objections about this approach. Hopefully, if nobody has any thoughts here, hopefully we could at least maybe get some comments on the PR. And if there's no objections, probably by next week, I'll remove my hold on this PR and we'll continue reviewing. So yeah, that's about it. I don't know if anybody has questions or anything, happy to answer or provide more context if needed.
Is there someone who want to comment on this? I will take a look at this. Thank you for the heads up. And my main concern is to make sure that this proposal fits well with the work that we are starting for label propagation. So I will try to have a look under this point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Fabrizio. And speaking of the work we're doing for label propagation now, my hope is that what Cameron is proposing here, we would use in the same way that we use with the overrides for like the memory and CPU and whatnot. So a user could use those annotations to specify the labels and the taints, but hopefully in the future, once we've got the syncing mechanisms defined a little better, I shouldn't say defined a little better, but implemented in a way that the autoscaler could use it, then hopefully these annotations would just be a supplement or perhaps an override to whatever the autoscaler pulls out of there. So that's kind of my concern and why I wanted to bring it to the community. But yeah, I appreciate any reviews. So thank you, Fabrizio.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So I think that we can.
Sorry to interrupt. I see Hiromu had a question here in chat, and I wanted to bring up this PR that he mentioned because I don't know if it's related, but okay. So yes, it is related, but not directly. It is kind of tangentially related. So one of the things that we're talking about with this syncing between machines and nodes is that we want to have a way to expose what labels would go from a machine deployment all the way to a node, right? Because the cluster autoscaler only knows about machine deployments or machine sets at this point. So it's kind of tangentially related to this in that if we have a way to determine what labels will be on a node that gets created from a machine deployment, then the cluster autoscaler can use that information as well. So yes, it's related, but not directly.
Thank you. Yes, I asked that because I recently opened similar peer which implement a lot of propagation. So I just concerned about whether or not we have to on the same page about lava propagation. I mean, implementing the same manner for the lava propagation.
Yeah, that's a great question, Hiromu. No, I don't think there will need to be any changes on the work that's being done in the synchronization part of this. Everything that's being proposed in the autoscaler right now is very much separated from that. So it shouldn't affect the work that's going on currently to sync the labels.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for the question. Yeah, this was my concern as well. We have a couple of activities which are kind of unrelated, but they touch the same concept, which is labeled annotation propagation. So more eyes we can get to check that everything works well, the better. Okay, moving on. So Stefan, next one is yours.
Ah, you moved me up. Yep. I think I would share my screen. Okay. Oh, perfect. Yep. Now
You should be host now.
Yep. Let's see. Okay, you should see that issue. Okay, so I think a lot of us noticed, like last year, that we had some problems with the registry handling. So essentially, KubeADM changed its default registry, and we modified KCP accordingly in 1.3.0 and 1.2.8, so that everything still works. Unfortunately, that fix wasn't, like, let's say, 100% perfect. Okay, but let's start from our current state. So the current state is essentially that when KCP triggers a rollout, it modifies the registry of a cluster. So sorry, the registry of a cluster in a sense of that KubeADM join would use that registry. So every subsequent KubeADM join would use the registry that KCP sets. And what we changed in 1.2.8 and in 1.3.0 is that for all those versions, essentially for 1.22 until 1.25, KCP is setting registry.k8s.io. So our assumption was essentially, oh, Kubernetes has changed the default registry, so we can to the new one, so we can set a new registry for all of those versions. Unfortunately, what we noticed is that certain versions of KubeADM, certain patch versions, still use the old registry. I wouldn't mention all the details, feel free to read the entire issue, but essentially, because of the way that the KubeADM pre-check works, we have to make sure that the default registry in KubeADM is in sync with the registry that KCP writes into the workload cluster. And as you see with the green check marks, so for all of those versions here, we have the same default registry, so everything is fine. So all the new KubeADM patch versions will all work, but we have old ones. And those were the tests that we had failing in Core Cluster API, in CAP-C, in Kappa, and CAP-M3, at least, probably more. But yeah, those old versions were all failing. And essentially, we fixed all the end-to-end tests by just using newer versions. But I mean, that's just fixing the tests. That's not really fixing the root issue. What I would suggest is essentially that we modify the KCP behavior. So instead of just always setting the new registry, we essentially would take a look at the exact version that we're using, and then we would either set the new registry or we set the old registry. I'm not sure if that was like understandable. Feel free to ask questions and follow up on the issue. Yeah, but that's it essentially.
So thank you, and thank you a lot, and kudos for all this work on researching, nailing down the problem and documenting it. The table is great and simplify a lot. So yeah, yeah. I think that we are paying the fact that Kubernetes change the behavior in the middle of a minor. We were informed, but we did not properly understood the changes. So yeah, now we have to fix it. Okay, I'm going back to share. Is there some more comments on Stefan topic? It seems no. Okay, next one, Yuvaraji.
Yeah, so this is regarding Kubernetes 126 support. With Kubernetes 126 out, we are adding support to the main, the 1.3 and the 1.2 release branches. The mains already updated with support for 126. So the quick start and cluster kernel upgrade tests, all of them are now running on 126 and works going on right now to add 126 support into the 1.3 and the 1.2 release branches. That's all.
Thank you. Great to see the release team moving on and all the coordination that is being that is happening behind the scene to move the release on. So if there are no comment, I have the next topic. Okay, so I have opened a PR with a small set of improvement to our backporting policies. The TLDR is the following. So why I did this, because we, since basically 1.3, we are now supporting two release branch, currently 1.2 and 1.3. Okay. And these, during December, this caused a little bit of noise with a lot of backup PR. So I took a look at it, and basically what I'm suggesting is the following, is that we have two branch under support, 1.2 and 1.3, and we are going to allow backport to both of them for the following changes: bug fixes, dependencies bump for CV resolution, cert manager version bump, because we don't want our users to use cert manager version which are out of support, and if possible also changes required to support a new Kubernetes version like the one that Yuvaraji just described. So this is what we are supporting to both the branches. Instead, we are going to backport only to the most recent branch, that is 1.3, the following changes, which is dependency bumps not for CV resolution. It is, I don't know, GitHub action bump usually does not have a CV resolution. It is not really required to backport it back to 1.2. It is just noise. Doc improvement, and we are backporting this because this is the current version of the book that the user sees. And also we would like to improve and to backport improvement to the CI signal and to the test framework, because the CI signal, because it helps the project general health, and also test framework because usually sometimes there are asks from providers to improve the test, something in the test framework. I hope this is clear, and I just stop for questions. Go, Mike.
So I just wanted to get a little clarification on that second part. This is talking about backporting from main to like a patch version on the currently supported release branch. Is that correct? Okay.
Is that correct? Exactly. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Yeah, like I guess like my only feedback might be like the documentation improvements. Like I don't know if I would necessarily backport those unless they were related to a change that was like in a change that was in that version as well. But that might make the burden of review a little tough. I don't know, but that's really my only feedback. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. Thank you, Fabrizio.
Thank you. Stefan first and then Cecile.
I might be misinterpreting stuff, but I'm not sure I see that that separation between all supported branches and only the latest supported branch on the current PR. I thought it's more like the separation between okay, I'm not actually sure. We have two lists in the PR. We have one for in order to keep the project up to date with the ecosystem, and we have one for additionally in order to improve user developer experience. But I didn't see the separation between different branches.
Yeah, because you are right. Let me see. Let me open the PR. Okay. Yeah, because the code before was I can let me say rewrite in the same order, but we have here, for instance, dependencies bump usually limited to CV resolution. Backport of non-CV related are considered. It is written in parentheses, but yeah, we can go back. But this is I think that this is the main goal. The main goal is to keep the burden of backport under manageable.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of things is important to have in both. This one is something that we do in order to make the life of our user simpler or our life simpler. But given that it is a trade-off between what we can do, etc., we have it kind of sane to limit only to the latest version.
Yeah,
but yeah,
okay,
we can discuss in the.
Yeah, it's fine. So it's also just the point of that the PR is not really up to date yet with that with the latest branch part. Okay, yeah, I mean that's fine. I was just a bit confused if it's like intentional or not in sync. Yeah.
Cecile?
I was going to say something similar. Yeah, that the PR didn't seem to match what was in the doc, but what was in the doc to me seemed a bit clearer. So I think it's a lot easier to understand. The only thing I wasn't sure is like for the latest supported branch, dependency bumps not for CV resolution. That seems a bit wide to me. I don't think that we should, I don't know that we should backport every dependency bump, especially since some dependency bumps are related to like Kubernetes version or controller runtime version and can have breaking changes, and they're more like features than bug fixes to me. So I don't know, I feel like it should still be case by case for those, or we should have some sort of restriction.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Let's just write if feasible. By the way, in the document, we always write that backport are subject to maintainers validation. So this is
it's for the second one, sorry, not the first one. So the one for CV resolution, I think that's always, but the one that's not for CV resolution is the one where we want to be more careful.
okay. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Stefan?
Yeah, and I think to all of those dependency bumps, we have always certain limitations. Like, I don't know, if we would have to bump client Go a minor version, that's definitely not something that we will just do. That will be a huge discussion. So I think a basic sanity, like don't bump major versions, don't bump minor versions of dependencies that you know that are problematic, even if they are for CVEs. We have to talk about that. But it's just like bumping patch versions of uncritical stuff for CVEs. That's just okay. Just do it.
Okay, let's keep if feasible in both. And thank you for the comment. I will try to rewrite the PR in the same shape if this is simpler for a reader. One last note is that also keeping the old branches in well shape is a work. So This is a call for action to all the community. Even if we have the cherry pick bot that help us, it requires works, and help is welcome. Okay, moving on for Kat.
Hey folks, yeah, it would be quick. Just wanted to bring up the CAPI CI alert mailing list that you see. That's used for core CAPI and other providers that I mentioned there, DigitalOcean, CAPG, and Capo, meaning that the people on that current alert list will be receiving the emails for all the CI issues, which is a bit annoying. So the question is, should we move providers to separate mailing list maybe and use the current one for only core CAPI, or vice versa, like keeping the same for all providers and maybe move the core CAPI to another mailing list? And also one more note is that it could be that other providers just copy pasted the job without noticing it, and then they might not know at all that there is a alert list. So, because if I'm not wrong, there is no one from the maintenance of above providers in the current alert list. So I wanted to hear your opinions.
Stefan?
Yep, I'm absolutely in favor of moving them off our mailing list. I think what we should do is we should open an issue in the core CAPI repo and mention maintainers of all of those providers, just that they are aware, because I'm pretty sure not everyone is here. And what my suggestion would be essentially that we ask those three providers if they want to have an alert mailing list, and then they have either option to essentially drop our mail or move to their own one. And I think that's fair, considering that, yeah, as I said, I'm pretty sure nobody of those providers is on our alert list. And we have a lot of other providers who have their own mailing list. So we already have Kappa or CAPC. So our pattern is currently that usually each provider who knows that mechanism has its own mailing list. So it would just make sense to also move them off ours instead of having 3 providers on our list, on the main list, and everyone else on other lists.
Thank you for that, Stefan. I also agree that those providers should move on their own list, and so it is up to them if to choose to move to a separate list or to simply drop because they don't use the mailing list. Yeah, let's open an issue, loop them in, and see how it goes. Otherwise, we will take action and open a PR against this infra, basically dropping. They're removing the mailing list from their jobs. But yeah, thank you for highlighting this problem.
Sure, thanks. I'll follow up then on the issue. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Provider updates. The first one is Kubernetes provider with Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Fabrizio. So over the holiday time, we released version 0.5.0. It mainly contains some bug fixes and then updates so that it works with the latest versions cluster API. And I want to, special call out to Killian Muldoon. Thanks, for all the help you did there. You really, helped us kind of get to the next level here. We've got like probably another release I'm guessing we'll do maybe next month. Fabrizio's got some really exciting patches up there to kind of help the testing framework out. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think probably at some point in the first half of this year, if we can get like a lot of these testing changes that Fabrizio is proposing in place, I think we might want to get to the point where we could declare a 1.0 version of that Kubernetes provider and then kind of start from there, once we have a really solid testing framework in place. Because we do have a little bit of end-to-end testing now, but I think, the work that Fabrizio is doing is really great. And so like, I think when we get to the point where we can have a really solid CI that we know is easy to update and kind of change versions and everything, I think I'll probably look to the community towards seeing if we can rally around getting a 1.0 version released at that point. So anyways, yep, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a side comment on this work on the end-to-end test. If everything sorts out well, basically we will have in cluster API an auto-scalar test that can be run with any providers, not only with Kubernetes. And yeah, this will be nice for everyone. Okay, next one, Jake with Azure.
Hey everybody, thanks Fabrizio. Real quick shout out that we'll be cutting patch releases in CAPC basically after this meeting, I think. So for folks who've been waiting for that, it's been a month or so. Expect that later today. That's really it. I'll do the incrementer math at some point. So 1.5 whatever dot existing plus 1, 1.6 dot existing plus 1.
Thank you. Great to hear this. Then we have a feature group updates. Jack again.
Yeah, sorry, just a reminder that we're meeting on Wednesdays. I feel like I'm on record in recorded media saying that I will send out something from the SIG cluster lifecycle mailing list. I haven't done that yet. I have the tab open, so I will do that today. So for folks who haven't heard that, it's Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific. So I know that we're scattered across lots of time zones. Basically, the easiest math is it's an hour before this meeting on this Zoom channel.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder for folks that do not know this, the Managed Kubernetes feature group is a set of folks that are discussing how to make Managed Kubernetes like GKE, AKS, and so on to work even better than now with Cluster API. So this is an exciting topic. Okay, we are at the end of our agenda. Is there some last minute topic that we want to talk about? Great. Happy New Year again to everyone. See you in a week.
Thanks, Fabrizio.
Thanks, Fabrizio. Happy New Year.